Good morning, America. Breaking news. The U.S. and South Korea fire back overnight after North Korea's missile tests, now testing missiles of our own, as Kim Jong-un taunts America, calling his launch of that intercontinental ballistic missile that could reach the U.S. a package of gifts on Independence Day.
High-stakes showdown. President Trump about to meet face-to-face with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The two leaders squaring off for the first time. The White House saying the president won't go easy on the Russian leader. Will Trump confront Putin on the Russian meddling in the U.S. election?
Breaking overnight, a terrifying shooting in New York City. Two police officers ambushed while on patrol.
That's fine.
A female officer shot in the face and killed. Bullets also strike an innocent bystander. Why were the officers targeted?
And Tour de Crash. This incredible video from the famous bike race in France. An elbow from a top rider causing a wild pileup on the course. One biker run over, now seriously injured, as both riders now out of the elite race.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
Good morning, America. Welcome back.
And
let's take an incredible look at that Tour de France video. The biker, as you see, after he was elbowed, was run over in that pileup. We're going to have much more on that coming up, and it was so close to the finish line.
So dangerous right there. But we're going to begin with breaking news around the world. Tensions high over North Korea. Overnight, the U.S. and South Korea responded to the North Korean missile launch with a show of force, launching our own missiles into the sea off Korea. And the U.S. confirmed that the North Korean missile was a long-range ICBM. President Trump leaves this morning for his G20 summit with world leaders. Ahead of that, he's going to stop in Poland. The White House says he will deliver a major speech there tomorrow. And on Friday, his first meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The big question, will Trump confront Putin over Russian interference in our presidential election? We're going to have more on that ahead. First, the escalating crisis with North Korea and our chief global affairs anchor, Martha Raddatz. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, George. A very strong statement this morning from the top American commander in South Korea, saying that self-restraint is the only thing keeping the U.S. and South Korea from going to war with North Korea after its breakthrough missile launch. Overnight, the U.S. and South Korea responding with a show of military power. A volley of short-range missiles fired into the waters off the east coast of the Korean peninsula. That coming just hours after North Korea successfully test-launched a two-stage intercontinental ballistic missile that could potentially reach Alaska. A major breakthrough for a country that has long sought a missile to directly threaten the U.S. The country's leader, Kim Jong-un, there to oversee the July 4th launch, calling it a package of gifts for America on its Independence Day. The ICBM was launched straight up into the atmosphere, reaching an altitude of 1,700 miles, likely so it did not overfly Japan or Russia. But if the North Koreans angled the trajectory for distance instead of height, experts say the missile could travel well over 4,000 miles, not just in range of Alaska, but very close to the U.S. mainland. Celebrated as a success by a North Korean newsreader and applauded by the public, the missile, called the final step in creating a confident, powerful nuclear state that can strike anywhere on Earth. In reaction, Russia and China proposing a moratorium on North Korea's nuclear tests and a halt to U.S. and South Korean large-scale military exercises, proposals which have been outright rejected. Just days ago, President Trump warning Kim Jong-un to stand down.
The era of strategic patience with the North Korean regime has failed. Many years, and it's failed. And frankly, that patience is over.
Before he took office, President Trump warned that he would not allow North Korea to develop a nuclear weapon capable of reaching the U.S. They have still not perfected that, but they have now come one big step closer, and it is unclear, George, what he can do about it.
Okay, Martha, thanks very much. Let's get more on this now from our military analyst, Stephen Ganyard. Steve, let's begin with that North Korean missile test. We know it's an ICBM. We know the missile could reach potentially the United States, but to have a missile be able to strike the United States, they need to perfect a nuclear warhead, one that could survive re-entry into the atmosphere.
That's right, George. We know that we've seen a miniaturized nuke. We've seen pictures of that. We know that they now have a rocket that can reach the United States. But the real trick is to be able to have that nuke on that rocket survive the high heat of reentry. We know they're working on this. We saw that they actually addressed the warhead temperatures. So when does this happen? A year, 2 years, maybe 3. But we need to remember we have consistently underestimated the progress of the North Korean program.
Right. They have been moving relatively quickly, and we have relatively few options to stop it.
We do. Right now, the U.S. is going to go to the UN. They'll talk to the UN. The UN hasn't been terribly helpful in terms of sanctions. So this is going to be actually a unilateral effort by the U.S. The Department of Defense is going to have to play defense, but the real offense here is going to be the U.S. Department of Treasury imposing sanctions on North Korean illicit activities.
And our missile test overnight, provocative as well. The general who is in charge in South Korea says this was designed to be a precision strike at enemy leadership.
George, first thing, if you look at it, why would the U.S. launch these short-range missiles in response to a long-range missile? But General Brooks's comment this morning was very clear. This was a demonstration of precision fires targeted at the North Korean leadership. Kim Jong-un needs to remember that he is target number 1 in the event of his hostilities.
Stephen Ganyard, thanks very much. Amy?
All right, well, the showdown with North Korea happening at the very same time that the president takes on world leaders at the G20 summit. ABC's Jonathan Karl at the White House now with the latest on those high-stakes meetings. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Amy. With a Russia investigation swirling around this White House for months, no meeting on this trip will be more closely watched than President Trump's first encounter with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Ahead of his trip to Europe, President Trump struck an optimistic tone for the 4th of July.
We do have challenges, but we will handle those challenges.
The president will meet with the leaders of China and Germany, but no meeting will draw more attention than his first face-to-face with Vladimir Putin.
I would love to be able to get along with Russia. Now, you've had a lot of presidents that haven't taken that tack. But it's possible I won't be able to get along with Putin.
That was the president back in February. He has consistently talked about improving relations with Russia. But over the years, he has offered wildly different descriptions of his relationship with Putin.
There's Vladimir Putin. Have you ever met the guy?
Tough guy. I met him once.
I have no relationship with Putin. I don't think I've ever met him.
Putin even sent me a present, beautiful present with a beautiful note.
I have nothing to do with Putin. I've never spoken to him. I don't know anything about him.
Whatever President Trump's relationship with Putin, the visit comes at a time of rising tensions with Russia. Of course, there's Russia's meddling with the presidential election, something the U.S. intelligence community says was directly ordered by Putin himself. Another major point of tension, Syria. U.S. officials say Russia bears responsibility for Assad's use of chemical weapons against civilians. White House officials insist he won't go easy on Putin.
If there's an opportunity, the president would recognize that we have an extremely low-point relationship based on distrust right now.
But it appears unlikely that the president will confront Putin about Russia's meddling in the election. As one senior U.S. official told ABC News, that would be a waste of time, saying, quote, it is a loser of a topic. George?
Okay, John Karl, let's talk more about this now with our political analyst, Cokie Roberts and Matthew Dowd. Matt, let me begin with you. I have to believe the White House staff is just trying to manage expectations there. It's hard for me to imagine that the president could actually go into this meeting with Vladimir Putin and not bring up the interference in our election.
Well, they may be managing expectations, George, but I also think they don't know what their president is going to do. Donald Trump has been incredibly unpredictable through the course of his campaign and this presidency, so I actually think they're being realistic. They don't know what Donald Trump might do, but the idea that Donald Trump would show up in a meeting with Vladimir Putin and not say something about the election would be astounding.
It would just be astonishing. And Cokie Roberts, the stakes so high for this meeting, their first meeting, and there are historic parallels.
Absolutely. I was thinking yesterday, George, about Jack Kennedy at the same point in his presidency, meeting with Nikita Khrushchev, and Khrushchev ate Kennedy alive. He said afterwards it was the worst day of his life, and this was a person who had his PT boat blown up during the war. And it had really severe consequences because Khrushchev saw Kennedy as weak, as indecisive, and he then, 2 months later, built the Berlin Wall, and a year later, the Cuban Missile Crisis happened. And it took Kennedy showing strength during that crisis for Khrushchev to finally understand that he couldn't mess with the United States. So these can have very severe consequences if the president doesn't really back up his statements with some sense that the United States means business in taking on Russia.
Matthew, we know that the president likes to have successful meetings, wants to be able to come out and say that he achieved something, but there's some real tension there because he does also have to confront someone who's been taking him on across the globe.
Well, George, I think there's real tension. You'd take Vladimir Putin on one, but there's real tension with a lot of members of the G20. If you look at the recent polling in the international community, Donald Trump is not believed by most of people in the European community to be trusted to do the right thing. And you take with Vladimir Putin, and now with what's happened in North Korea, the European community is worried about unpredictable, erratic leaders, not only one in North Korea, but one in the United States of America.
Okay, Matthew Dowd, Cokie Roberts, thanks very much.
All right, George, now to the fight against ISIS. In Syria, U.S.-backed forces broke through a wall surrounding the old city of Raqqa, a key stronghold for the terrorist group. And in Iraq, the fall of Mosul just days or even hours away. We go now to ABC's Ian Pannell, who is on the front lines in that city. Good morning, Ian.
Amy, it's been a grueling 8-month slog. But could this be the week that ISIS is finally defeated in Mosul, its center of power in Iraq for the last 3 years? U.S. military officials say the militants control less than a square mile, but the Iraqis are calling it. The Prime Minister has congratulated his troops on victory. This morning, the last gasp of ISIS in Mosul. The fighting has eased. It hasn't stopped, but it's now confined to just a few blocks in the old city. It's taken months to get to this point, and the toll's been terrible. Thousands of people have been killed or injured, and many more have been made homeless. Even though the fighting hasn't stopped, victory is being declared. Prime Minister Abadi congratulated the fighters and the families of Iraq for a big victory, bringing down the false state of ISIS. Parts of Mosul barely look like a city anymore. It'll take years to rebuild and recover here. Thousands of residents have been prisoners in their own homes for months, denied food and water by ISIS. Mariam says, "I'll never go back home. It's all destroyed, and I'll never forget what ISIS did here." For many, this was the first food, the first clean water they'd had in months. People are emerging shell-shocked and shattered, relieved that this is over, but unsure what the future holds for Iraq and the region. So now the campaign switches westwards, a few ISIS pockets left in Iraq, and then the main thrust against the center of all ISIS power, Raqqa in Syria. Their US forces already taking on the militants. But overall, the picture this morning is progress on all fronts. George.
Boy, that city in Mosul just devastated. Okay, thanks, Ian. We're going to turn now to that tragic surge in violence here in the U.S. In Chicago alone, some staggering numbers. At least 89 people wounded in shootings since Friday, 13 killed. And in New York City overnight, a police officer shot dead while sitting in her patrol car. The police are calling it an assassination. 2 others were injured in the ambush. The shooter has also been killed by police. ABC's Adrian Bankert is on the scene in the Bronx. Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning to you too, George. It's terrible. Officer Familia dying from her injuries early this morning. Right behind us here is where she was stationed as part of an anti-gang unit to stop the violence. Instead, the commissioner says she was assassinated.
This morning, a brutal targeted attack, a man armed with a gun walking up to a police vehicle, shooting police officer Miosotis Familia in the head. Her partner radioing for help after 34-year-old Alexander Bonds fired his gun through the window at point-blank range.
We got the perp over here in custody.
2 officers responding to the call, chasing Bonds 1 block, exchanging gunfire. Bond drawing his revolver. Those officers striking and killing him.
This was an unprovoked attack on police officers who are assigned to keep the people of this great city safe.
Another person believed to be an innocent bystander also struck in the shootout. They're in stable condition.
They were quite simply assassinated, targeted for their uniform.
It's an attack similar to one from 2014. Officers Wenjian Liu and Rafael Ramos sitting in their patrol car executed in Brooklyn.
And we know that the NYPD is telling us that suspect, Bonds, was a career criminal, at one point using brass knuckles to attack an officer. They're looking over surveillance video now of him purposefully walking up to that anti-gang unit where Officer Familia was sitting. And sadly, even though this was a brazen and unsophisticated attack, it comes just days away from the anniversary of 2 execution-style killings of police officers in Dallas and in Baton Rouge. Amy?
All right, Adrienne Bankert, thanks so much for that. And now to a lawsuit filed against Major League Baseball longtime umpire Angel Hernandez, claiming racial discrimination keeps minority umps from getting the best jobs. ABC's TJ Holmes is here with more on this story. Good morning, TJ.
Good morning, Robach. And this umpire claims that since 2000, every single promotion to crew chief by the MLB has gone to a white guy. And he said that's not fair to him. But the other thing he says hurting his chances is that somebody in the commissioner's office, somebody very famous, has been holding a grudge against him that goes back at least 16 years.
Strike. Angel Hernandez has been calling balls and strikes as a major league umpire for nearly 24 years.
A call from Angel Hernandez, a full count.
Now he's calling foul against Major League Baseball. The Cuban-born ump is suing the league for racial discrimination, pointing the finger at former New York Yankee skipper Joe Torre, now executive vice president overseeing baseball's umpires. According to the lawsuit, since Torre's arrival, there has been only one non-white umpire assigned to the World Series. And the 55-year-old claims he has not been promoted to crew chief despite having more experience than 9 of the 10 umpires that were promoted.
Dickey's pleading with Angel Hernandez.
Hernandez alleges the bad blood between the two men started in this game back in 2001. Torre was outraged over this call. Getting in Hernandez's face, Torre was tossed from the game.
Every time Angel Hernandez has the plate in a game, something happens to one of the teams.
Hernandez claims Torre then, quote, took to the media to insult him, reportedly saying Hernandez just wanted to be noticed over there. And that once Torre assumed his role with MLB in 2011, the notion that Hernandez just wanted to be noticed permeated Hernandez's early evaluations as an umpire.
It's hard to know whether Joe Torre is holding a grudge or not. If you look at the history of baseball and you look at the way grudges are held, it doesn't seem so ridiculous after all.
Now, we reached out to Hernandez, Joe Torre, and the umpires union. Haven't heard back, but again, this is not the first time we've heard of something like this.
That's right. Umpires feuding with Major League Baseball, nothing new.
There was an age discrimination suit back in 2000. They sued for $20 million. They settled that one. There was another beef in 2004, umpire sued saying they were unfairly demoted. They settled that one as well. So the back and forth with umpires and MLB is not necessarily something new. This one with racial discrimination is something new.
All right, TJ.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys.
Let's go to Ginger now. Ginger, those fires out west just devastating.
And now we're starting to get some really eerie images. You can see this one in Sparks, Nevada, where someone driving very close to that Earthstone fire. There are a lot of folks on the road. This thing has exploded now more than 25,000 acres, and they've got that 20% contained. This brush fire, 50 acres, that's 101 in the foreground with all the cars going by there. This is now 30% contained. Not great news as far as red flag warnings all the way up to Montana. A quick look. If Billings gets to 100, it's the first time in nearly 3 years. The Hot Cities Now brought to you by Sprint.
Hi, I'm Paul. People ask why I switched to Sprint. Well, their network reliability is within 1% of the big guys, and they have the best price for unlimited among national carriers. And wait, are you watching this on the awesome iPhone 7? You gotta get iPhone 7 from Sprint, and they'll give you a second one on them. What are you doing? Go switch to Sprint.
Who's he talking to?
I don't know, but I better go to Sprint.
Wait.
2 iPhone 7s! Love you!
Get Sprint Unlimited. And now, get iPhone 7 and get a second iPhone 7 on us.
Some morning showers and afternoon thunderstorms. Your temperatures not nearly as high as they've been. We'll top out today in the 80s. By lunchtime, though, 79 degrees. Showers and storms today. Better chance tomorrow noon until 5 p.m. In fact, tomorrow's storms could be strong, if not severe in spots. And then for the weekend, lower humidity. It's going to feel very nice. 88 to 86 the upcoming weekend. Next week, mid part of the week, approaching 90 degrees.
And coming up here, the case against pharma bro Martin Shkreli. He took to YouTube for hours while prosecutors are calling for a gag order to keep him quiet. Nancy Grace is going to weigh in on that.
And then GMA investigates, are the smart devices in your home vulnerable to hackers? What you can do to protect your personal information when we come back.